So do yourself a favour, check out the Carlisle Cult Cinema Club, and don't forget not just to rate it, but also to subscribe on YouTube or Facebook.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another Carlisle Cult Cinema Club Presents. And I'm with the boys for a trip down memory lane and 80s vampire films. And yeah, I think we've picked the best of the bunch, to be fair. Paul's picked Fright Night,
Yep.
Clive's Near Dark, Waff's The Lost Boys, and I've picked Lifeforce. Four of the best, in my opinion. We already have done an 80s vampire one, but that was audio only. So I thought I'd get the boys' faces all out for some 80s vampire
mugs.
action.
Yeah.
And this was Paul's choice as well.
I was just going to say there is a sort of. I was toying with two of them because I think Salem's Lot needs a mention in this conversation, doesn't it? You know, but I know we're not going to cover it today, but that is a classic as well.
I think that was 79.
Was that 79? Oh well,
that was 79. Yeah, but yeah, I mean that was. I mean, it still is superb. And I showed off my little box of dirt and holy water from Salem's Lot, didn't I?
Oh yeah, so that was 79, was it?
Yeah, 79 for Salem's Lot. I think I'm sure it was. Very David Soul era, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Silver Lady in that.
It's Starsky and Hutch.
Yeah, that's it. Can you remember the vampire episode of Starsky and Hutch?
I didn't know there was one.
Yeah, they come across like a Dracula type. It's worth watching. That was why I always liked Starsky and Hutch. I seen that episode, I was like, oh, brilliant. So I think we're all recording. We are. Just to be on the safe side, you know mate, what I'm like. So, right, we're going to kick off with Paul's choice, Fright Night, 1985, the film that really kick-started the 80s vampire trend because it became a massive hit and that spawned the rest of them. And it kind of, in a way, it took the vampire film in a little bit of a different direction. So over to you, Paul.
I just loved it. And for me, it was one of the first horror films in general I went to see in the cinema because I was only must have been like 16 because I got into it. I was underage. I remember going to see it at the Odeon, and you just hope you get in, and we got in, and so for that, it was one of the reasons I just love the film, not just as a vampire film, but as a horror film. But back then, I wanted to be a special effects kind of makeup guy. That's what I wanted to do, and that film has the ultimate for the time practical effects. There was no CGI. You've got the big puppet, the vampire bat.
Which was stolen from Ghostbusters.
Probably, yes. Yeah, because the effects were done by
Steve Johnson.
Yeah, who worked on Ghostbusters as well. So, but there was also the whole bit where Evil Ed turns into a wolf. Do you remember that? And
yeah.
Take him, and all the bladder work and the wolf puppet, the vampire bat, what was his name again? Chris Sarandon, who played Jerry.
Yes, Chris Sarandon played Jerry.
Yeah, Jerry Dandridge, and all his effects, when he vamps out and everything. And one of the great special effects makeup artists, Greg Canham, was the assistant on Steve Johnson, who I believe was hired by Richard Edlund, who worked at, he was one of the guys that started ILM.
All right.
But then after the first Star Trek, he broke away and started his own company, which I'll look up in a minute, like Boss Effects or something. But that they were the first ever competition to ILM because he was one of ILM, and he got hired because it was a big studio movie. he got hired to do all the effects, and he brought Steve Johnson in to do the makeup end of it because there was other fire effects and all that kind of stuff. But Greg Canham assisted, and Greg Canham went on to do The Lost Boys. He was the one that created that vampire forehead that went with Buffy. I think it was Buffy and the Lost Boys, then Buffy. They all had, and they brought the teeth in. It wasn't these.
Yes.
It was, so that was Greg Canham who did that. And he was the kind of creator of.
Is it worth Paul making the distinction? Because I know there's a lot of love for practical effects here. I know you love them, PD, and clearly you do as well, Paul. But there's still a difference between good and bad practical effects.
Oh yeah,
90% of them look shite. But I think I'm kind of the same as you. That Fright Night, the poster had a picture of the vampire. I remember seeing that picture of it. And that's what sold me.
It was like this kind of clouds formed the vampire over the house.
Yeah, and he had like massive teeth. It wasn't just two little fangs. It was like a big, great, wasn't it?
The prosthetic on Amanda Beers, who played that part. I mean, I forget her name. The character's name in it. Remember that Jerry Dandridge falls in love with her, tries to shield Charlie, and she went on to be the neighbor in Married with Children. Remember that?
She did. Amy Peterson.
In what? Sorry.
Married with Children.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Yeah, it was the good-looking husband guy and her that were like neighbors that kept coming over, supporting.
Yeah, she was like the straight-laced one, wasn't she?
Yes.
Yeah.
But her name was Amy in the film. Amy, and that big vampire prosthetic took the mouth like the Joker, like all the way up. But the other reason I love it is up until then, at my age, I grew up on Hammer House of Horror and stuff like that.
And it pays homage to that.
Yeah, and it's like a classic vampire in that, he's in a coffin and he can't be in sunlight and garlic and all the crucifix, all of that.
Tropes.
Oh, the Hammer had. It kind of bridged the gap between the classic Christopher Lee vampires to the modern vampire that came with Lost Boys kind of launched the modern vampire.
And it was Fright Night that launched the modern vampire. The whole look of Chris Sarandon with the scarf and the long and the 80s yuppie kind of thing.
It was a bridge between the 60s and 70s vampire Hammer films and the modern horror.
Yeah, I get that.
It was a bridge. And then The Lost Boys was like the first of the new after that bridge of what a vampire is, So I loved it. Great effects, great performances. Roddy McDowell as Peter Vincent, vampire hunter. And I had that whole, we all grew up with the vampire TV shows, like the Munsters and that. And, it had that bridge of,
I guess. I mean, I know we're dealing with 80s, but Salem's Lot was a bridge type one as well, wasn't it? If you think about it. It's similar, very similar, the old cape wearing master, but put in modern setting. And I think I like that bridge. I prefer modern horror myself, and it's only really scary when it's set today. In today's setting, Gothic's not as scary really. It's beautiful to look at and blah blah.
That latest Nosferatu, I couldn't get through it. We didn't need to see his dong.
What
is it?
You needed it, PD. You needed it.
What is it though about at the moment films where you've just got to see the bloke's cock out?
It's a quality. The quality.
28 years later, and that ilk with the old Alpha swinging in the wind.
Is it not probably redressing the balance? Because so many
I think that's what it is.
True.
Yeah,
just naked women.
So many boobs over the years.
It probably doesn't. Yeah, it probably means, for me, it would probably mean there's no need for nudity, really. I mean, like, do we need to see that really? It killed Nosferatu
No.
for me as well, PD, and the mustache did, because I
Mm.
kept thinking,
Well, yeah, that mustache was terrible.
does he get up and shave? Like, is that what it happens?
It's.
You know,
I mean,
it kind of humanized him, the monster.
the whole Nosferatu thing, I do find a little bit weird anyway, because the whole thing was made because they couldn't get the rights to Dracula, so they made like their own German version that they could get away with it without being sued for, even though they were eventually sued anyway, and they were meant to all be destroyed. And then obviously Werner Herzog made a version, and now we've had Robert Eggers making a version as well. It's like, well, I don't know why you're remaking that, which is just a kind of dodgy remake of Dracula anyway. Just do Dracula. It's like,
I mean,
Yeah.
the Werner Herzog Klaus Kinski Nosferatu was excellent.
I enjoyed it, but
it was
I'd like to
much
see what
better.
Werner Herzog would do with Dracula.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, he's got a new film coming out, hasn't he? But anyways, back to Fright Night, the excellent Fright Night. I saw it VHS for the first time. My dad brought it home,
Yeah.
stuck it on, and absolutely fantastic. I mean, it's Rear Window with vampires.
I mean, it's also a haunted house movie, you know.
Yes.
And it's got a clever casting, I think, because Roddy McDowell was like, he was a certain type, you know. We knew, everybody knew Roddy McDowell as the
Yes.
nice guy next door, and he's a lovely guy. So sticking him in a horrible vampire film, that's good casting, you know.
And
I think David Soul again with Salem's Lot, like, not immediately, you wouldn't immediately think of this. He's like a TV heartthrob, and now he's in this kind of gritty vampire thing. Yeah.
I love that.
I'll see Roddy McDowell's Cornelius. Really, I grew up on Planet of the Apes, and it was
There you
always
go.
that.
Also, what was really clever was because Fright Night, I don't know, was it Universal? I don't know who put it out, but it was
I can't remember.
one of the big five studios put it out, and so the soundtrack was all the time. It was all the biggest rock bands, Autograph, the biggest pop songs, you know, and then
And that dance sequence in the middle of the film
yeah,
was absolutely excellent.
yeah. I mean, and it was old school. They took old school filmmaking and did this modern, you know, when he picks the guy up
Yeah.
and up the big bouncer, he's just standing on a crate, kneeling, you know, it's all framed. But couldn't do it. You couldn't make that film with CGI any better. You know, it was perfect for the time. The scene where Jonathan, forget his name,
the when he gets shot on the stairs and the green liquid and all that.
well, that was a wax dummy with alginate, and they built it, and they had a heat lamp, one of those high-powered heat lamps on it.
What did you say? Algae mate.
Alginate.
What is it?
It's, you know, when you do a life mask, they put that stuff on your face.
Oh yeah.
There's all different types of consistencies.
It like dries rubbery kind of with an impression.
And that takes the impression. It was a form of that and wax all built up, and they just took a heat lamp underneath and melted it, and then obviously sped it up. And that's how they did it, you know. And it looked amazing. But the guys that did the effects on that were former ILM, you know, because it was 85.
Yeah.
Richard Edlund, I think he quit ILM after like Empire Strikes Back or something, or after the trilogy, and started Boss Films, which was the first ever competitor. More King.
So was ILM only computer graphics? It was never practical effects.
ILM was always practical effects. Never.
To start with, yeah.
There's a fantastic.
But mind you, ILM done the first Tron. They were involved in the very first computer effects with Tron.
Didn't they start out on Star Wars doing blue screen? So that's digital, isn't it?
Oh well,
it's a mixture actually.
George Lucas put together ILM. He created it to make Star Wars. It was never to go beyond that, and then
John Dykstra and people like that were all involved, and obviously he's connected to the film I've got to talk about.
Yeah, so that, you know, it was all practical, but then of course computers became more and more, and they started out. But they did Raiders of the Lost Ark and Melting, very much like Fright Night. Oh, it was all the lightsabers. It was all that. There's a great, fantastic documentary on the Disney Channel. I think it's like 9 episodes about ILM and how they went from building models to, doing matte painting to where they are now. But I love the whole story. He went, broke off. There wasn't anyone else. Hired Steve Johnson, who's an incredible makeup artist. I believe Oscar winning. Who's just out of used to be married to Linnea Quigley.
He did.
I guess I was a perk of the job. And
They met because he had to take a cast of her boobs for Night of the Demon.
yeah, so so it's just a great story. And then Greg Cannon was his assistant, who went on to, in some ways, become an even more prestigious makeup artist because he was basically just a makeup artist. He wasn't such a monster builder. But and he did The Lost Boys, Dracula, Gary Oldman, all the Batsuit, everything, Buffy. He was kind of the creator of modern-looking
vampires. Yeah.
But I love that movie. Great. I sometimes put the soundtrack on because it takes me right back to when I was 16.
I can't remember the soundtrack.
Oh, it's I've got it myself on vinyl somewhere in my collection.
The composer was Brad Fiedel. He was the composer, and he did a couple of songs. The love song, "Come to Me," but then
and he done. Brad Fiedel was Terminator as well, wasn't he?
He was synthesizer guy.
Yeah.
But then it was like Autograph, Rock Myself to Sleep, and I think like Jake Isles band.
Okay.
A lot of it reeks of the 80s.
Oh, it's very, very 80s. I've played a couple of tracks on my radio show as well. But at the same time as Fright Night was getting made, there was another vampire comedy getting made with Jim Carrey.
Once Bitten.
Once Bitten, and it also got a dance sequence in between vampires, between a vampire and a prey, which was it's a very different but same. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The very similar elements from Once Bitten are in Fright Night, but Once Bitten fell on its ass, and Fright Night towered above.
Well, Fright Night was, it was a proper horror movie. I mean, it had proper monsters and gore, and I guess, back then in 85, not so much now, but back then, it's kind of scary and rock and roll.
But it was also funny as well. It had the funny moments. It was a good, horror comedy, which it's hard to balance.
Yeah, and it was very much of the level of scariness and something like A Nightmare on Elm Street, which came out in 84, I think. 83.
Yeah.
That kind of...
It's got that. It's the same tone as well as Nightmare, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not like gritty realism one like Near Dark. It's much more fun is in there, isn't there? Fun is a word that's in there.
And it's lit. If you watch it, the way it looks like a music video. There's a whole scene where they're running, trying to avoid the vampire down all the back alleys, and he just keeps appearing, and it's got music pounding, and the sky's purple and pink, and blue, neon blue. It's the 80s. Maybe that's why I still love it, because, like I say, the music and the look, it makes me feel.
It spawned an excellent sequel and a very, very good comic book as well, all in the 80s, late 80s and early 90s for the comic book.
And a video game.
Yes, video game for the Amiga, which is terrible, and I've played it, and it's hard. I got one of those little handheld consoles, and it's on there. And honest to God, I played it for about an hour and seemed to get nowhere.
Yeah, it's old school. It's like
all games are like that. They're really hard. When you compared to these days, the kind of
and it doesn't even follow the story of the film.
No, it's just a cash in. But it was a big studio movie. I mean, I can't remember if it was Universal or Paramount, but one of the big ones. So when you've got that machine behind you, here comes the merchandise, here comes the video game.
And I think it's as well knowing the studios, because it's a big movie, that's a reason to not have to spend money on the game. Just
But it
put the
wasn't-
movie
when
title
it
on the
was
box
made,
and everyone will buy it, you know.
It wasn't made for a big amount of money. When it was first made.
I guess it was a big success, wasn't it? It was a box office.
It just done massive box office because
Yeah.
of all the elements we've discussed. Just gelled. Everything just worked.
Also, I think Chris Sarandon, who plays the main vampire, he was like at that time, he was like the stud actor because he'd done The Princess Bride, where he's a good looking or whatever. You know, he's always
Yeah.
he was a stud. So they got like the George Clooney of the time. You got a young actor, Charlie Brewster, who's like the happening guy. You got a horror movie icon, Roddy McDowell. You know, it was all.
And then Evil Ed, the gay porn actor.
What a weird. There's a weird.
Funny how you know
Yeah.
him, PD.
No, well, the guy who played Evil Ed in the film,
Stephen Jeffries.
Stephen Jeffries, ended up. He was in a few films. He was in Catholic Boys, which is superb, very funny.
He was the next big thing. He was like MTV voted him like the equivalent of the next. Like we have the up and coming, you know, the BAFTAs. We've got the New Face Award. He kind of was winning all that stuff. In America, he did Evil Ed. He did Dial 666 or Evil. He did
Yeah.
lots of horror movies.
976 Evil.
That's the one. And then he was doing all these big. You know, he was like going to be one of the kind of the Brat Pack kind of guys. Then he does gay porn. He decides he wants to. And I'm not talking hardcore gay porn, not
the weak stuff, you know what I mean? Not the gay director. What we used to watch on in the 90s when he'd come in a bit drunk.
We've all been there. We've all been
hardcore.
there. Everyone's gay when they're drunk.
Everyone's gay when they're drunk. That might be you.
I got it.
But
can I just say I don't drink. I don't drink. You're all safe.
So I mean, Fright Night, the one that started it all, so I had to start with it. So anything you want to say or anybody want to chip in before we move on to Clive?
I just want to say before we move on, because my favorite horror film, the ones we're discussing are all the ones I love the most. And it was very hard for me to pick one. But the one that I was hovering around was, I just want to mention it once, Vamp.
Superb film, Grace Jones.
That was another rock and roll 80s style.
Don't know that one, actually.
Yeah, it's really
Clive, you've got to see it. It's excellent. Grace Jones is the main vampire. You've got
I
one of the guys.
I could see her being intimidating.
Yeah, it's about a bunch of guys who go to this strip club, and it's all run by vampires. And Grace Jones.
What more could you want?
Exactly. Dee Pfeiffer's in there. Michelle Pfeiffer's younger sister.
Yeah.
And there's no cocks out because it's in the 80s.
That's it. No male Robert Russler plays one of the main guys, and it is Vamp is well worth talking about.
I just wanted to mention it because it's not as well known, obviously, and I don't think it had a theatrical release in the UK. I think it was a big video, but that's when
it did. It got a theatrical release because I can remember seeing the quad.
But it wasn't the same. It wasn't the big studio. It was like New Line or somebody brought it out. It wasn't.
I can't remember.
So I wonder if some of our kind of also ran films are victims of they just didn't get picked by the marketing people. You know, we could easily been talking about Vamp, and then also ran was this little movie that went nowhere. You know, Fright Night. So I wonder how much of it's down to what they decide to market. You know, which is somewhat pot luck, isn't it? Really.
Well, what I think is try and market your movie in Texas. Vamp's a lot of a harder market with all the Bible bashing and all that. Whereas Fright Night, you know, it's traditional from a studio's perspective.
Yeah. But you see, there's a lot of really good films. Just doing research for this, like The Thing did terrible at the box office, didn't it? And you look at that and you think, how could that go bad? That's
VHS saved a lot of films, and a lot of films were so much of a success on VHS. They got sequels at the cinema.
I just wonder how it didn't get the full, the full Monty sort of behind it.
Yeah.
Well, the thing
I think it was a bit of a hit.
There was nothing bad in it.
The thing was, I think it came out at the same time as E.T., and E.T. was doing so well. They didn't really think there was the mood that didn't push it, because they thought maybe no one wants to see bad aliens because we've got this little friendly alien. So I think it was just kind of bad timing.
It's pretty dark as well, isn't it? Yeah, pretty dark.
Oh, yeah, compared to E.T., definitely.
Let's move on to the man himself, our other director in the room, Clive Tonge, with Near Dark, a neo-noir horror western. And it when you look at it, it falls down a lot of western tropes.
Okay.
I rewatched it on the run-up to this as well. So over to you, Clive, with Near Dark.
So I think for me, this is probably this podcast is going to be Near Dark versus Lost Boys. They're two ends of a vampire spectrum, aren't they?
Yes.
So I'm going to be convincing Waugh to like this better, and he's probably going to convince me to watch Lost Boys.
But one's
well, that's it.
If we were to do it with music-wise, Near Dark is that dirty, grungy heavy metal, and as we know, the Lost Boys is the Bon Jovi.
Yes.
Of the
it's funny though, because in terms
kingdom.
of what music we like, I'm the one that likes grunge. You're the one that likes kind of synth pop from the 80s. So it's kind of like actually the wrong way around.
But yeah, I think, I was, as a kid, I was no real fan of westerns, and then I sort of grow up and you realise actually Star Wars is kind of a western, but just with different costumes, and Near Dark another western with even different costumes. So I just don't like the costumes, probably. But I think, this one hit with me because it wasn't hammerish at all. It was dark, gritty. It wasn't castles and gothics. It was like dirty bars and motels and whatever.
It was. It had that kind of southern gothic feel to it. Yeah,
and so definitely had, like, you could see whoever the DOP was. They liked westerns. Do you know what I mean? So it's a great way to put a style on a vampire film to give it a new feeling. And I think I probably liked it probably for the exact same reasons that I never bothered with Lost Boys growing up at that time, and I've never watched Lost Boys since, because it was always like the sleek, good-looking MTV 80s. They were the Lost Boys. I was like, I don't feel like one of them. I'm from Stoke. It's a shithole.
I'm from Stoke.
So, but Near Dark appealed to me because it was this outsider gang. You know what I mean? And I probably felt I didn't quite fit in somewhere in the 80s.
Sensibility again.
Yeah, and the 80s was like growing up in Stoke in the 80s. It was weird because the TV, everyone was rich and doing great. And I was walking to the Dole twice a month, and it was like really grim and a depressing time sort of thing. So I think Near Dark probably appealed to that side, you know what I mean? That kind of what was going on in Stoke at the time. So, and I've always gravitated more towards darker, serious horror rather than comedy horror.
Yeah, I was going to say that because you've said in the past you're not keen on comedy horror, and that Lost Boys is, although it's horror, I wouldn't say it's a horror comedy, but I'd say it's horror with comedy in it. And
it's kind of lighter horror, isn't it?
Yeah,
they still go to town with the effects and the gore, but you're never sitting there thinking, "Oh, this is really grim and I'm frightened." You kind of laugh along with the gore. Whereas when it's done in a sort of brutal way, you could have wincing at the gore. I don't know why I've always seemed to have gone for that kind of.
I wonder if it's maybe like me with Beans and Chips, because I love beans and I love chips, but I hate them mixed together. So you like comedy, you like horror, but you hate them mixed together.
Good
There we
analogy.
go.
It's red wine and Coke. Red wine and Coke. To me, it ruins two good drinks. You know.
I
Oh
mean,
God, yeah.
So
Near
I
Dark
think
had a great cast. Lance
Yeah.
Henriksen.
they were all half of them. They were from Aliens, weren't they? So they'd already bonded on Aliens. You know.
And that's why they got hired, because Catherine Bigelow was dating James Cameron.
That's right.
See, so there you go. So there's a career. Like I said before, there's so much based on luck, and who you're shagging, apparently. Yeah. But I suppose that's the same in all industries. You know, I've got to sleep with the right person.
Well, if you look as well, the magical, the way Jeanette Goldstein, it was Lance Henriksen, Bill Paxton had chemistry from Aliens.
Yeah.
Dark in it.
And I think their aliens energy or whatever came through in this. I wonder how much, because his film, like Aliens, is like, it's kind of, well, I think it was Ridley Scott, but it was like truckers in space. We're not like astronaut, they're like gnarly army dudes, aren't they? So they like a lot of that camaraderie, male bollocks stuff, that like macho man stuff. I think it came over into this, the gritty realism side of it all, and you know what I mean.
Well, I think
and
Aliens was. Sorry, I think James Cameron, when he made Aliens, he said he wanted to make Vietnam in space. So he was kind of deliberately trying to do like a Vietnam War movie in space, which is kind of what you're saying.
So this Western outlaws, lawless. It was like, fuck the man was a lot of what kind of a lot of what we were thinking at the time. We hated the government. We hated what was going on. And not in any sort of deep political way, but it's just fuck off. I want to play in a band, And I think Near Dark had more of that on it than the kind of polish and the lighter touch of Fright Night or Lost Boys. So I think that's definitely why it appealed to me. Just pure taste thing. But then having gone into films and looked back over it and all that, it's like, I do like that gritty thing. The interesting story is Catherine Bigelow, really, who, like, this was her first thing, wasn't it? So just seeing where she went afterwards, she's probably a strong feminine voice and all that kind of thing. But all the films have been really macho men type films, isn't it? Directed by a pioneering female director, the first one to win an Oscar. And to this day, she's doing really cool army stuff, isn't she? Like Zero Dark 30. She knows that world well, which kind of proves you probably don't need to be in that world to make films about it. You don't need to be something to make a film about that.
I watched this again just the other night because I watched the rewatched all four, and that bar sequence is still superb.
Yeah, outstanding, isn't it?
Brutal.
Yeah. And who's his name? Paxton, is it? The one who's like the main sort of wise. He's vile, isn't he? So horrible in it.
Severin. I think that's what he's
Severin. That's
Severin.
it. But you kind of love him, He's like, he's horrible and bad shit. He's cruel and all that. But when he comes on the screen, you're like, right, what the fuck's going to happen now? What is going to happen next? And that's like kind of what I like. It was a real, genuine threat, I think.
As good as the music. It was Tangerine Dream.
Yes.
Yeah, Tangerine Dream sound score, yeah.
And that was like, I think I had it, like, I was, because it was them, it was almost like added to the movie, like, became part of, it made you feel the way.
Yeah, some scores can be a character all of their own.
Yeah, that was, I have that soundtrack. I have all the soundtracks from the 80s. But
oh, really?
That's a good one.
But yeah, so it's one of the films that definitely probably what we're talking about. What did E.T. kill? Oh, the thing. I think this is a bit like that. I think because of Lost Boys and the MTV kind of thing, and what was popular, and they were pretty much the Brat Pack, weren't they?
Yes.
I think that one, nobody wanted to see this miserable, grim. Do you know what I mean? Go out the cinema feeling kind of worse than when you went in.
Oh, I heard that I think it might have been, I could be wrong here. I think it was HBO that made it, and they're part of Warner Brothers, who also had the Lost Boys.
Right.
Okay, so they flipped a coin, did they then?
Basically, the Lost Boys, it's all about money.
Yeah,
And
always.
they had the prettiest people, the big, they licensed so much music for the Lost Boys. We'll talk about that in a
Yeah,
minute. So
yeah,
marketing all went there, and it kind of got buried in the, but it,
yeah,
I, s-
and it,
I sup- I suppose just going back to PD's analogy of the grunge being near dark and Lost Boys being Bon Jovi, it's like maybe it was just like a year or two too early because grunge broke shortly after that, and Lost Boys is
Yeah.
very like 80s hair rock. So the Bon Jovi does hit. So maybe if it had just been out a couple of years later, it would have hit the perfect time when everyone's wandering around in checkered shirts and
Oh,
yeah,
uh,
in the analogy with
it's
Fright Night, I'd say Fright Night was like yacht rock.
yeah.
Fright
yes.
Night was your kind of yacht rock kind of vampire
What
film.
what did he call it?
Yacht rock. Do you
Like
like
on a boat?
Hall and Oates?
Duran and stuff like that, I suppose, is it?
Yeah,
Okay,
Hall and
okay, yeah,
Oates.
yeah,
You know,
like
Michael
glamoury.
McDonald.
It
You
was
know, that
pop,
kind of that's
pop. I call it pop. Like it
well,
was a
well
pop horror.
yeah,
Pop,
yacht rock. Just because of the way
yeah,
what his look,
pop music.
Chris Sarandon looked.
Yeah,
You know, looked like a yuppie who'd have a yacht.
pop music.
But for some reason, it made me think of Step Brothers. Then the yacht rock did. They got a bit. They got a bit on a yacht, haven't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a while since
Oh,
I've seen that. So,
that,
anyways, back to Near Dark with
Yes.
Clive.
So yes, I think that's what appealed to me. It was the kind of anti-Lost Boys, anti-glamour. Didn't fit the MTV zeitgeist that everybody loved. It wasn't kind of music video, if you like. I'd be interested. What would you guys think? Which one's aged better out of all of our films?
Um,
Or have any of
well,
them aged
the
well?
the Lost Boys, in terms of effects and stuff, still stands up perfectly.
I think all
It's
of them
very
still
eight.
stand up effects wise.
It's got
actually, I think Near Dark Age is ageless because that story can be told today with not much difference. Because
yeah.
the only thing that might have changed is a mobile phone. But the way they did it, if he did have a mobile phone, he's in the middle of nowhere with no reception. So it's
Yeah,
Mm.
the story could carry forward today.
yeah.
How much of an
Yeah.
upgrade?
Were you going to say something, Waff?
Just yeah, I mean the Lost Boys are it's of the 80s. It's very like it's got that cock rock. Oh, I was going to mention it when it comes, but Joel Schumacher came from a fashion background, so the reason that all the vampires look like they're straight out of Bon Jovi or um White Snake or something is because he was from that background. So if you watch it now, it still holds up as an enjoyable, fun kind of horror stroke comedy film, but it's very much of the 80s. Whereas Near Dark has that grungy kind of the look to it that does make it a bit more timeless. But I think they can all be enjoyed now still. I don't think any
I
could
think
say, oh, that's not aged well.
maybe another sort of reason that Near Dark stands out a bit is kind of the whole like the illness of being a vampire or how you become one. It feels a bit more like a disease or something in this.
Yeah.
Maybe it's making a comment on the AIDS epidemic or something like that.
I
But
think it
felt like,
kind of was in a way,
yeah.
you know, with the blood
I suppose
transfusions.
vampires would be great, but I mean they make such a great kind of AIDS metaphor, don't they? Because you're swapping blood. But I think maybe I don't know. It was never overtly like that. But I wonder it doesn't look nice, does it? And you're like they're all covered in shit and whatever. So it was anti-glamour, I suppose, and vampirism like they're almost like addicts, like a bunch of addicts who just go around causing grief and shit and making life grim for loads of people. Yeah. So I wrote that on my CV actually.
I think they kind of do treat it like them being junkies because of the way that Caleb is, you know, when he's going for the bus and all that. When he bumps into my mate Troy Evans,
Which one was Troy?
Troy's the copper in the bus station that he meets and gives him the $3 so he can get on the bus.
Okay, okay. Oh, can't remember it.
So
It's been a
I
while,
think
but yeah.
thinking about it, Doctor Sleep, the vampires in Doctor Sleep kind of owe a bit to Near Dark. I mean, I don't know whether I haven't read the book of Doctor Sleep, but there's definitely a kind of they kind of travel around there, kind of like addicts, um, searching for people with the shining rather than just normal people. But it's got. I think there's definitely. I've never. It just popped into my head there, but I
yeah,
think there's definitely some kind of nod to Near Dark there.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, but
right
it's a
then.
great it's a great. Oh, sorry, Penny. Let's
No, it's
move
all
on.
right. No. What were you going to say? I was just going to
I'd have
say. I
been
was going to
I'll
ask
waffle on forever.
what was the
What was I going
last
to
thing
say
you were
now?
going to put? I was going to ask
Oh
what
yeah,
the last
yeah.
thing.
It's a good. So the vampires are always a good metaphor. Like I think
Yes.
the best films have a second meaning, you know. And a vampire is a great metaphor for addiction, illness, transmitted diseases, just like zombies. Like I know your two favorite films, Peter, are it's Dawn of the Dead and Evil Dead, isn't it?
Yes, that's it.
Dawn of the Dead gets it for me because it's not only is it a horror film, but it's something else as well. You know, it's consumerism and all, you know, and like what you would do if you could, like,
Yeah.
because everyone would dream of, I don't know, I dream of the zombie apocalypse and I want to end up in a shopping mall. You think I've got everything here and how that goes. So it just had that edge over the Evil Dead for me. And maybe vampires and films like Near Dark hit with me because of that. Whereas I don't know what was Fright Night making any other point, or was that just a fun movie for the time?
No, it was just
Cash.
a pure popcorn.
Yeah, it was pure just moneymaker. You know,
Yeah,
popcorn movie, fun.
yeah. And they know how to make them, don't they? Hollywood knows how to churn them out.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
There's nowhere better, really. But yes, yeah, Near Dark. I rest my case.
Yeah.
Waff.
Right. So Near Dark, excellent film, very grungy, very rocky, and an extremely great horror western, really. Next up, it's Waff with, as we've discussed, the Bon Jovi of vampire films, The Lost Boys. Look, I watched it again a couple of nights ago, and I do enjoy it. I don't, you know what I mean? I do bust its balls completely, but I do enjoy it. I went to the cinema to see it back in 1987. I was 13, and it was everywhere. Bus stop posters, you name it. But over to off with the Lost Boys.
Yeah, I mean, the Lost Boys hit me in the right time for me as well because it was 97, so I was 8. I was really just getting into horror. Seen I'd seen quite a lot of things. I've seen the Nightmare on Elm Streets and The Thing and stuff like that, and I was starting to get into it. But this one just hit me right because I liked I liked the Goonies and I liked
Wait, what? Hang on. You were watching The Thing when you were 8.
oh, younger than 8.
Did you say you watched The Thing when you were 8?
Yeah, when I was younger, yeah. I've not told you my Thing
it
story.
explains a lot, that does.
Yeah,
No,
was younger
if you
than
phrase
Waff
it
when
like
I
that.
I was younger
what's
than
it?
Waff when I started, and I got the video nasties when I was like 7, 8 year old.
I was watching them when they actually first came out. I was
Can't remember when I first watched The Thing, but yeah, if you ever come to me often saying, "Do you want to hear my Thing story?" It's probably a no from me, but it just doesn't sound right, does it? So like a story about your
Anyways,
thing.
back over to Waff with the Lost Boys.
It's yeah. So yeah, I was I love like I grew up on the Goonies, and so I was simultaneously watching, it wasn't CBeebies at the time, but BBC children's stuff as I was watching The Thing and Nightmare on Elm Street. So I had this weird kind of crossover. So the Lost Boys had the two Corys in it, Corey Haim and Corey Feldman, and I was a big fan of the pair of them. Um, so that was, and then it was vampires, it was horror. and I didn't see it at the cinema. I was obviously too young to go and see it, but as soon as it came out on video, I was on it, and it was one of the first X rentals that I managed to get a hold of, that I managed to get a copy of, that I watched continuously. I showed it to my younger cousins, terrified them, but they still talk about it today. Like when I see them, Becca, my cousin, she'd be like maybe 4 years younger than me, I think, or maybe three, something. But she still comes up and says, Lost Boys, you showed us that, it terrified us, but it's still one of my favorite films, and so a bit of it's definitely nostalgia, hit me at the right time, but the way it was Joel Schumacher, I think it was his first film, and as I said before, coming from a fashion background, he threw everything into it, including his style. So you have these vampires that are made up with all the hair and the long hair, and they look like extras from Whitesnake and that. Um, and then, but then you have the grungy guy, the Frog Brothers. They're like the kind of grungy dudes that are the good guys in it.
Well, Michael's very much quite grungy, isn't he? In a way.
Yeah, he's not, he doesn't have the poodle perm, and
He's
he's
got the-
he's got
His
he's
hair
got the
isn't
leather
all
jacket.
feathered and things like that.
Yeah.
wasn't he? Wasn't he like Jim Morrison meant to be? Look like Jim, because he had the big Jim Morrison.
Yeah, I can see that.
Oh
Looking at the
yes,
light, how
yeah,
they
in the
lit him and
cave, yeah,
stuff like that, and
yeah, yeah.
the way it kind of stood.
It was, I think, because it's Santa Clara, isn't it, in the film? But it was filmed in Santa something, I can't remember. It was a real
Santa
place.
Cruz. Santa
Santa
Cruz.
Cruz, that's it. Yeah,
Santa's
which actually had.
Grotto. Sorry,
Yeah, yeah, that's it. That's where the vampires were.
sorry,
The Jim
sorry.
Morrison
I'm
poster.
sorry. Delete that bit.
Um, but it had like a crazy like murder rate in it, which was kind of, I think, where the idea formed, because so many people were like disappearing and being murdered, and that was, I think, the basis of the story, that vampires were maybe taking them.
Oh, for
Uh,
real?
yeah, yeah, and
Okay.
which I think is why Santa Cruz were somewhat reluctant to have it as their home, because it wasn't painting a particularly great um, view of their lovely town. But it's fantastic, and the music, we talked about the music on all the other films. For me, the Lost Boys soundtrack is, I'd probably still say, the best movie soundtrack of all time. Up there, I've got maybe two or three that I love, and that's it's just endless. I could listen to it over and over again. There's not one dud song on it for me. Uh,
Cry, little sister.
yeah, classic. Yeah, yeah. And you've got Tim Capello with his saxophone and his big,
Exactly.
oiled up muscle torso. It's crazy, like.
Why did so
It's
many 80s films have a muscly torso, shiny guy playing saxophone?
It's the
it
same
was
guy.
well, he's kind of having a little bit of a comeback, because he was in, I don't know if any of you guys heard much, Gunship. They're like a synthwave band,
I know them.
and
What they're
they did
called?
a Gunship. They're a British synthwave band, and
Okay.
they do songs based around John Carp. It's all originate from John Carpenter soundtracks, so they're all very synthy in that John Carpenter style, mixed with rock music, and they have a song which is kind of a homage to the Lost Boys, and it's got the it's got cartoons of all the Lost Boys in it, and Tim Capello actually plays sax on it, and he turns up halfway through the video, and
Ah,
it's still exactly, he looks kind of the same. I mean, he's like, what, 30 odd years older now, but he's still oiled up, still muscly, little bit of a punch, but he's still rocking the sax. It's
I remember a muscly oiled Rob Lowe in St. Elmo's Fire.
Was Fire playing
oh
sax as
yeah,
well
Yeah, oiled
on
up
top
sax
of the
player with
roof.
muscles. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's got
the
to be done
80's,
in the
man. It was the
80s.
time for the 80's. Brass sections in 80's songs were fantastic. Let's be honest. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Just can't
I,
beat
I,
it.
I tried to be a guitarist. I should have been an oiled up sax player, shouldn't I?
Well, that's
Th-
it.
then I'd like Lost Boys better than Near Dark.
yeah.
Yeah.
But the Lost Boys, I mean, for it is a great film, and I take the piss out of it. But I do enjoy it, and it is a great film, and the two sequels are atrocious.
I never
Mm.
watched the
Yeah,
sequels.
Oh,
the what? You what? Sorry.
I refuse to watch. I don't want to ruin.
Yeah,
I don't want it to ruin the
yeah. I
Lost
wouldn't
Boys.
bother. The one of them was it the third one that was basically just a remake of the first one, or was it? No, it was the second one that was basically
Second
just a
one
remake
with
of the
Kiefer
first one.
Sutherland's brother.
Oh, was it Kiefer Sutherland's brother? I
Kiefer
didn't realize
Sutherland's
that.
brother played the
Right,
vampire in it. And
right.
you had the return of Corey Feldman and all that. It's atrocious. I've
Well,
got them both.
Corey Haim was going to be in the third one, but he kind of couldn't keep
There is,
like off
if you
the
look on
coke and stuff.
YouTube, there is a scene with him in one of the sequels.
Ah, right, right. Yeah, he got. They couldn't. I think he was on like
I
uh,
couldn't afford to
allegedly.
insure him.
Yeah, allegedly he was kind of still taking a lot of coke and stuff, and they couldn't. They kind of give him like uh, a warning, and he didn't really stick to it, so he didn't make it to the third one. And but yeah, they're both awful. It's yeah, just stick to the first. It's one of those
They did a
films with
remake.
sequel.
They did a
You what?
remake about a few years ago, and it never got released. Uh,
Oh, right.
like a
A
proper,
remake of Lost Boys.
yeah. And
Oh, right.
I'd heard there was one in the works, but I didn't know they'd actually made one.
well, it was kind of weird. They made it like kind of like Exorcist 3. They made one, pulled it, used elements of it to make another remake, but neither of them
Um,
got re and it was
Okay.
meant to be a big official.
It feels to me like a story, not just a film, a story of its time as well. I wonder how you could
Oh
remake that
yeah,
now.
Lost
You know
Boys
what I
is
mean?
very much a vampire film, banging 87, just as all the big poodle rock bands were starting to take hold. You know what I mean? We had Zig Zig
Uh,
Sputnik and stuff like that. Um,
It
but
was a
yeah,
and I think like late teenagers, early 20s were taken. They were the cinema audience of the 80s, wasn't it? It was
yes,
all, you know what I mean? The Breakfast Club and all those were like the big hitters, John Hughes films. So Lost Boys slots nicely into that, doesn't it? Like the horror version of that kind of thing,
I,
yeah,
selling youth.
I remember MTV in the 80s. You put it on, and all it was Poison, Bon Jovi, Def Leppard, and it was all that was massive. Everybody had big hair, and
yeah,
the Lost Boys looked like they'd taken four guys from four bands, put them together with all the
yeah,
cool people of the time, and
yeah.
Warner Brothers. It was massive.
Yeah, they did like like the Critters as well kind of had that as well, and it didn't it with that one of the bounty hunters becomes the 80's kind of
Rock and roll
poodle
guy.
yeah,
rock
yeah,
Johnny
And
So I
yeah. He
guess
looks at a
this is
singer.
where it's opposite to Near Dark as well, because they Lost Boys is kind of up. Like I wouldn't mind being a vampire, to be honest, in the Lost Boys.
yeah,
In Near Dark, it's the other way. It's like fuck, I don't want to be one of those.
yeah,
So maybe there's something to that as well. The Lost Boys are young forever, beautiful,
yeah,
trendy, sexy. Yeah, they're bringing sexy back, I guess. Whereas Near
yeah.
Dark, yeah, it's like a diseased rapist coming after you.
I just saw,
Yeah.
yeah,
You don't like sexy vampires then? It's
I don't know. Yeah, maybe I do like sexy vampires.
the
That's what I call PD when he's gone off.
That's it. But I mean, it had a great cast: Jason Patrick, Corey Haim, Feldman, Diane Weist, Bernard Hughes. He was Mr. Merlin. If anybody can remember that show.
gosh,
Now I
Um,
thought you might, Paul,
I don't know that one.
and Edward Herman, who played Max, was
He was a
brilliant because he'd
yeah.
always kind
Yes.
of played kind of unassuming guys. So seeing him switch up,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Well, all the way through the film, you kind of see him as that.
And
You just think he's just kind of the dithering kind of guy that's dating the mum. But,
the
So,
but
um
then,
the makeup was the first one that created the new vampire look with the
yeah,
mm,
pumped up brows and the teeth. Like I was saying
yeah.
earlier, Craig Canham did it all. And the film was originally a lot gorier, and they censored a
All
lot of
right.
gore. Um,
so
for
did they shoot that, Paul, or did they and edit it out, or weren't they allowed to shoot
yeah,
it?
they shot it, and the executives took it out because it's all about money. And
So surely there must be somebody where you can watch that footage. I bet people would love to see that, wouldn't they?
maybe the Blu-ray
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
No, I've never heard of the footage being out there. There's probably
Sometimes it
some
gets lost,
deleted
doesn't it?
scenes somewhere. I can't remember what's on the Blu-ray. But I've
It's
never
like
heard
those.
of all that.
Sorry,
Sorry, go on, what?
sorry, PD. No, no.
No, just
I
saying
was
I've
just going to.
never known any footage out there over to off. I'm sure.
I was just going to say it's like that scene in Event Horizon, isn't it? There's also this legendary stuff that's the scenes from hell
Yeah.
on the ship that everyone wants to see, but was it Paul Anderson's always like it's gone. We've filmed it, but it's got lost forever, and no one's ever going to see it. So we literally can't make a director's cut within it, but he'd love to. So it's maybe one of those. It's just disappeared.
Yeah.
Unless it was in
So-
Bob Monkhouse's shed, a
Yes,
lot of
like
stuff was not.
Yeah, very true. So, anything anybody else wants to say on the Lost Boys before we move on?
it was a TV movie in 2020, and they remade it, and then for some reason, it never came out.
Right.
Okay. No, that one passed me by.
Yeah,
Yeah, same here. I knew they were talking about remaking it, but I didn't know they'd done a TV movie, which sounds
Never
like
saw
it'd
it.
be
Is,
more for
t- is
streaming.
TV movie worse than straight to streamer?
Yeah,
It
more
is.
sci-fi channel.
Yeah,
Okay, so it means ultra low budget,
Yes,
made on a TV budget, I guess, does it?
yes,
maybe
yeah,
maybe it's made like a TV show because maybe if it does well as a TV movie, it's like the first episode of potentially a new series.
like a
like what they've
pilot.
done with Teen Wolf,
Yes,
because
Right.
they turned that into something a bit more serious, and it turned
Yeah.
into a long running series, didn't it? So well.
I'm actually shocked that they haven't done a proper remake of The Lost Boys.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's,
You know,
yeah. Leave it be. It belongs just where it is in time. It's
They-
Mind you, the Fright Night remake was quite good.
Colin, I was just going to say they remade that, but it wasn't. It didn't have the charm of the original.
No,
But
no,
has
they
it lost?
changed
Has
quite
it
a
lost?
bit, but
Is that charm pure nostalgia charm, or is
I
there a
think
charm
so.
in the film itself?
I think a bit of both with Fright Night.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's also because we were getting older. When I saw Fright Night the first time round, Jerry Dandridge was this much older vampire, but because I'm older than Colin Farrell, it's hard to see him as this. You know what I mean.
So I wonder if you showed both versions to a modern young audience, what they would think. Yeah, because like I recently watched Jaws with one of my kid,
Yeah,
and she hated it. She said it's just men sat round talking about sharks, and she preferred
be on
the
the poster.
Meg. She preferred the Meg.
oh
So
dear.
I love the Meg.
yeah,
I
I
do
love the Meg.
myself, and the book is so different. Because I read the book years ago, early 2000s. I read the book.
With Steve Altman.
Yes, yeah, excellent. I've read a couple of the sequels as well.
Right.
But yeah. So right then, moving
Okay.
on quickly or slowly, who cares? It's my choice to finish the show, and it's Lifeforce from Cannon Films and director Toby Hooper, who directed Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And this was the first of a 3-picture deal with Cannon. And he would go on to do this, Lifeforce, Invaders from Mars remake, which I thoroughly enjoyed, and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, which is absolutely bonkers. And the complete opposite of the Texas Chainsaw, where Texas Chainsaw, you don't see any blood. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, it's just blood and gore everywhere.
The cut to
But,
the cartoon level. The cartoon level, because
yes,
over the
it's
top.
just the
Well,
complete
I
opposite.
vaguely remember it being a vaguely comedy-ish. Is that right? Did they play it
Yes,
for laughs?
it's got
Yeah.
moments, yeah. But
'Cause
anyways, down to Lifeforce, from Tobe Hooper. Steve Rails backs in it as Carlson. The beautiful Matilda May plays Space Girl. Peter Firth plays Kane, the kind of SAS guy. And you've got Frank Finley in there, Patrick Stewart, Michael Gothard, Nicholas Ball, Budgie, Aubrey Morris. The cast is stacked of British actors, and it's always been a massive favorite. My favorite 80s vampire film is Fright Night, but I've talked about that before, so I thought I'd go with this instead because I absolutely adored this when it came out. Plus, teenage boy, naked Matilda May, was
Naked for
just
80%. 80%
yeah.
of the movie.
She's not in the film when you look at it. She's not in the film that long, but when she's in there, she's naked, and she looks absolutely immaculate. But that's what the staff, the cast and crew, she sat around naked. She wouldn't take something to wear, so she just sat there. She got that comfortable with it between takes.
She was French.
But
she was French.
Well, there is that. But also, it meant that every person who talked to her looked at her in the eye.
Yeah.
You know, because nobody wanted to be seen as gawking at her, did they? But story of a bunch of astronauts go up to Halley's Comet, and they find a spacecraft in there with 3 humanoid aliens, 2 males and a female, and they come down to Earth and cause complete and utter chaos. And it is fantastic, great score, and it looks brilliant. Cannon's best looking film and probably best film as well.
Massive
John Dykstra, the Star Wars guy, was on all the effects.
Massive scale. Big film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely big film. You know, London streets getting ravaged with these zombie stroke vampire creatures who are more energy vampires. And it is just rewatched it again last night. And it is a film I've watched on and off since it came out. And it was one of the first foreign Blu-rays I got, if not the first, called Space Vampires, which was the title of the book. The author of the book.
What do you mean? What do you mean foreign? Sorry, PD.
It was from Italy. It was an Italian Blu-ray.
Okay, so
it hadn't been released.
Sorry,
yeah,
you
hadn't been released over
here. Yeah, okay, I'm with you. Yeah,
yeah. Arrow released it over here, but they hadn't released it yet. So I wanted this Blu-ray, and I got it. Kerry got us it actually. And the author disliked the book. He said it changed too much. It was an asteroid field, not the tail of Halley's Comet, but it was changed because Halley's Comet was coming in '86.
Yeah.
So this was written by Dan O'Bannon, was one of the writers on it. Alien, Return of the Living Dead. So I mean, absolutely fantastic. Tobe Hooper was coming off the back of Poltergeist. So he was cock of the walk at the time. Great story. It should be about 2 and 15 minutes long, but the studio cut it down. I don't know where that footage is. And there's a 241-minute version. Sorry, 1 hour 41-minute version, which is cut, and there's a 2-hour version, which is the uncut, which is what I watched. And yeah, it's very psychosexual in parts, especially with the actress Nancy Paul, who is quite stunning in it with her scenes with Ray's dad from Minder. Do you know Ray, the nephew? His dad in Minder, who ended up being the Minder in Minder. His dad goes with the girl, and I just everything about it I thoroughly enjoyed.
Was it a British production then? Because obviously it was set in London.
It was an American production, but it might as well have been British.
I thought that. Seemed quite a lot of money on design and stuff for a British production at the time, but yeah.
Patrick Stewart described Tobe Hooper as being his favourite director that he's ever worked with.
Yeah.
Patrick Stewart's excellent. He's not in it that long, but he is absolutely fantastic. And Tobe Hooper described Golan Globus, who ran Cannon, as being excellent to work for. Just left into it.
So did this? I don't remember. I did see this film, but I can't remember it when it came out. You know, back in the day. Did it do any good? Did it do any business, or was
didn't.
It a flop?
It fell completely on its ass, but did do great guns and got its money back via VHS by video rental. Because I think it was
you couldn't market it. You couldn't market it because they didn't know what it was. It wasn't a traditional vampire because they sucked the life force out of you. So it was like a vampire movie, a space movie, and a zombie movie, all in one.
So maybe even using the word vampire was wrong, was it? Do you think?
Well, it did. They didn't. In any other thing, it was it was Lifeforce, because they were going to call it Space Vampires, and Golan Globus went, no, that's maybe a bit too down what we normally do.
So why did you pick it, PD, in a vampire thing? Because I guess
because they are classed as vampires. They're called vampires in the film.
Oh, they are called that. Sorry.
Yeah, but they're more of an energy vampire, like Colin Thingies from What We Do in the Shadows.
Yeah,
he's an energy vampire.
It's same as Doctor Sleep as well. They suck the energy out of them as well, and they're vampires as well. Another Doctor Sleep.
But
so I wonder if that woolliness hurt it. People didn't know, is this vampires or not? You know, it's like it doesn't feel anything like a vampire film to me. When I look at it, I never said it out loud, but my brain goes, vampire? What? No. Do you know what I mean?
No, well, it is. It's described as a vampire film. It was called Space Vampires originally, but they just didn't take blood. They took the energy, the life force.
But you could also call it a space movie, and in a weird way, you could also call it, towards the end, a bit of a zombie movie.
Completely, because when that ending, when they're all clamoring to get the energy off different people, they all look like zombies. It looks like they're ripping the flesh from people. But the only way to kill them is with a bit of cold lead through the solar plexus, just below the heart, which is like the vampires of old.
Vampire in name only, really, isn't it?
Well, I suppose if you want to be that pedantic, you know, I mean, they use a stake to kill them. It's okay. You know,
it's opposed to sucking your blood. They're taking your life force, which could be your blood.
So they could suck your blood in that.
No.
Well, they could, but they don't suck the energy. It's just
you know what?
It's a different transference.
Yeah, maybe this is why it didn't connect with me, because maybe there's gore reasons for it. Because like watching somebody bleed out is kind of horrible. That's why we love gore, isn't it? We like all that buzz. Whereas sucking the life force out, is it just?
But
I mean, you don't see anything.
No, well, you do. They actually see lightning, and it gives it a very kind of sexual. It does give it a very sexual feeling, like vampirism, because they kind of put them under the spell, don't they? And it's a kiss, but you see lightning and the life force and them shrinking down as they become husks.
And breakthrough effects, because where they suck the life force out and they become like zombie, all shriveled up,
like the mummy sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, funnily enough, some of the corpses that you see lying about, shriveled up corpses, were used in the 1999 Mummy.
There you go. Yeah. There you go. It's a great movie. I like it. But it's a lot for an audience back then.
Yes.
To get their head round. And it's not like, you know how they always talk about pitching your movie in one sentence. You know, you can't really do that with Life Force. But the reason it got made was because Cannon wanted Texas Chainsaw 2. And they wanted that more than anything.
Yes.
And the deal was that he cut was, I'll give you Texas 2 only if I get to make Life Force. And that's how he got it.
Okay.
And
So it's a look thing again, isn't it? Who are you shagging, basically?
and,
Yeah.
and when he made Texas 2, he knew he couldn't reproduce the success of Texas 1. So he went for like a mock film, a fun take with Texas 2, which is goofy and ridiculous because he couldn't do Texas 1. But his real thing was, I get to make Lifeforce. And he also had to make Invaders from Mars for them.
And Mark Moore sampled Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 for Hey Music Lover. There we go.
What did he sample?
EXIT, Exit, and Music Is My Life.
I don't know.
That was the Hitchhiker. He oh, not the Hitcher. What played by who I mean, scratching his head with the
Something Top, Chop Top.
Yeah, Chop Top. That's it. Yeah, absolutely fantastic film for me, Lifeforce. And I do still watch it every now and again. I know Waff's a fan, and obviously Paul is, and Clive's not seen it. So there we go. There's our 4 kind of favourite. We all picked one each of our favourite 80s vampire films. I think it covers the kind of the spectrum of 80s vampire films as well. So thank you for being here, guys.
Thank you.
Our next one with the lads is going to be Little Monsters. So there's a few, gremlins, ghoulies, critters, and other stuff. So I know Waff will be kind of going critters because he's a big critters fan. So
I thought you were going to say he's a big critter.
This is going to be out on. I'm going to put this out on
the
Sunday
snow's out.
coming up. So yeah, this is going to go out on Sunday coming up, and all good from us. So it's goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.
Goodbye from Waff.
Goodbye from him.
Goodbye, yeah, and a goodbye from you. Thank you all, guys, for being here, and we shall speak soon.
Thank you.
Bye.